The horrifying story of the daughter who murdered her parents to live a secret life. Strict parents don't give rise to brilliant children. A true story of what happened in the Pan family. Today we will go over the Pan family. This story is really hard to believe and seems unreal, but this happened to a nice and hard-working family in Unionville, Markham, Ontario, in the Greater Toronto area. In the end of the video, we will go over the possible reasons why this could have happened. Bich Ha Pan was a girl, and Huei Hann Pan was a boy. They grew up in the Chinese diaspora in Vietnam and moved to Canada as political refugees. They both got along, married in Toronto, and settled down in Scarborough. They had 2 children. First, in 1986, they had their first daughter named Jennifer, and then later in 1989, they had a son named Felix. They both worked at an auto parts manufacturer named Magna International in Ontario. The work for Pan was being a tool and die maker, while Bick worked and made car parts. They both worked hard to get settled and get enough money so that their children would have all those opportunities and facilities that the couple was deprived of. They were immigrants and took every way they could to make maximum money. In 2004, they had saved enough money to buy a huge house, and they were very excited. It was something they always wanted to have and wanted their kids to grow up in. The location of the house was a residential area in Markham, a city in the Greater Toronto area with a large Asian population. The couple was also capable of affording expensive cars. Han drove a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, while Bick drove a Lexus ES300. They were pretty happy about how their luxurious life was going. After having all this, they still had more than $200,000 saved, so they were excited about their future. One thing you all need to know about this Pan family is that they were very strict. They were referred to as tiger parents. They were extremely controlling of their kids and always had an eye on them. It was really hard for the kids to grow up in such a controlling environment with such strict parents. The parents had extremely high expectations of them. They wanted their kids to go beyond a stated limit and don't miss any possible opportunity that would help them grow more and more. Jennifer and Felix were known as very well-behaved kids. Felix was studying mechanical engineering at a very prestigious university. He was studying mechanical engineering because his mom wanted him to work on cars. Flexi actually wanted to design the cars instead of engineering, but he had to do what his mother told them. Felix obeyed and was also seen as a very smart and all-rounder student. Jennifer had a lot going on in her extracurricular activities. Her parents always expected her to get straight A grades, but she was an average student who could get around 70%. But her parents didn't know that she was an average student. For them, she was an extraordinary child. She deceived her parents by making fake report cards and making them believe she was an excellent student. Her parents were so strict that her mother used to pick her up from school and bring her back home. Other students traveled to and from school on their own. She wasn't allowed to date or even be friends with boys. She was not allowed to attend parties at school. She started to feel like a prisoner and trapped by her own parents, which was annoying and bothering for a teenage girl like her. She was faking many things just because her parents' strictness made her do that. Despite her parents' efforts not to let her date, she met a guy named Daniel and started dating him. In 2003, they both went on a school trip to Europe. They started dating and having a good summer together. but she kept it a secret from her parents. Jennifer pretended to complete her high school when in reality, she failed math. She faked that she was working in a pharmacy, but later, her parents found out that she was all lying. She didn't have an ID card or uniform to work at a pharmacy. Her secrets were exposed, and even her parents found out that she had a boyfriend. Afterward, her parents further put restrictions on her, which made everything so worse that she decided to take action. She came up with the idea to kill her parents. This would set her free, and she would live a normal life. Jennifer and her boyfriend came up with a scheme of hiring a man for $10,000 to gun down her parents, as she was so tired to please her parents. They both planned to move in together after she would inherit the money from her parents. On November 8, 2010, Jennifer unlocked the front door of the family home and went to bed. The hired men came in with two other men and demanded money from the couple and took them down to the basement and shot them. As the bullets were fired at her head, Bick died on the spot. Her husband somehow survived the murder attempt. The three men left after taking all the cash present in the house, including $2,000 from Jennifer. When the news came out, Jennifer showed herself as a scared girl tied by the murderers, but managed to free her hands and call 911.
What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
Someone just broke in?
Someone broke in and I heard shots like pops. I don't know what's happening. I'm tied upstairs.
Did it sound like gunshots?
I don't know what gunshots sound like. I just heard a pop.
When investigating the murder, the investigators figured out that Jennifer didn't show any emotions at the funeral, as she must be showing being a daughter. After a sequence of investigations, it started getting clear to the police and the people that it was planned. So the police had someone keeping an eye on Jennifer. At first, the police thought it was a robbery, but later they realized none of the electronics was stolen. The car keys were in front of them on the table, but no one took them. So it was a little suspicious activity. It seemed like the murderers knew the front door would be already open, as they weren't carrying any tools to break the locks. Last but not least, why would they leave Jennifer completely unharmed?
There was a Mercedes and a Lexus in the garage. They weren't stolen. There were TVs, there were devices, there was money that was found in the house, which wasn't stolen. Thieves that get away into the night without cash that was left on the counter aren't very good thieves.
3 days after it all happened, the father woke up from coma but was in bad condition. But surprisingly, he remembered everything from that horrifying night. He remembered that while the three men were in the house that night, he heard Jennifer talking to one of them as if they were friends. He also mentioned that Jennifer's arms were not tied at all. She walked around freely, not caring about what was happening. So, this was totally another story from what Jennifer was telling the police. The police decided to interview Jennifer again. The interrogation lasted 9 hours that day, constantly telling Jennifer that she was lying and observing how she reacted to it, and wanting her to spill the truth. As time passed, she made multiple mistakes when she told her side of the story. Eventually, she was forced to tell the truth. She burst out and said that she had been lying to all of them. But even now, she hasn't come up with a true story. She said that she was depressed and her life sucked. She was house arrested, and in reality, she wanted the men to get in the house and kill her, but they got confused and shot her parents. On 22 November 2010, she was arrested for confessing she hired the men to kill her, not her parents. Eventually, police were able to detect the men who Jennifer hired. Police went through Jennifer's old and new phones and read all the text messages. The police arrested all of them, and on 19 March 2014, the trial began and lasted for 10 months. The text messages on her phone made it clear that Jennifer hired the men to kill her parents. On December 13, 2014, all of them were convicted, and they all received a life sentence without any possibility of parole for 25 years. Jennifer's dad and her brother Felix requested a court order that banned Jennifer from ever contacting members of her surviving family again. Her dad was a shadow of what he once was. He was unable to work because of the injuries from the shooting. He was so anxious and depressed that he couldn't function normally or live a normal life ever since. It's so hard to accept that someone you loved and trusted did this to you. He mentioned that he hopes his daughter realizes her mistake and becomes a good human being. Felix started his own life away from everybody, and Jennifer is still behind bars. Jennifer can consider parole in 2039 when she turns 49. Jennifer's dad survived the murder attempt and was able to tell everybody what happened that night. If he didn't survive, no one would ever know exactly what happened to them. I think everybody has their own opinion about why Jennifer went so far to let her parents be killed. Her parents did the best they could to give her a worthy life, but didn't feel the emotions and anger of their own child. Maybe if Jennifer got more freedom to explore the world on her own, she wouldn't think about killing her parents. Parents shouldn't be this strict to the point that children will be unable to live life according to their desires. Thanks for watching the video. We would love to hear your thoughts about the story of Jennifer Pan in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to enjoy more videos on CRIMELAB. See you by the next story.